How are we doing, people? I haven't uploaded anything on here for a wee while, so I thought I'd better try and make something at least, because I've been making running videos for the past wee while and I'm still trying to find my feet with what kind of stuff I want to create. And I've got some stuff written down, just ideas. And the first one was 5 things I've learned since moving to the other side of the world. So for those of you that don't know, my wife and I moved from Scotland to Melbourne, Australia in June, just at the start of June. Today is the 25th of September. So we've been here for a wee while. Moved here at the worst possible time probably, with it being winter. And the first thing I've learned is Melbourne's winters suck. My flatmate, he stayed here before us and he undersold it to me, or sort of oversold the good weather to me. He says you'll only need a light jacket. So I only brought a light jacket, even though people were telling us you're going to need a puffer jacket or a lot of winter clothes, and I was like, nah, it's fine. Scott says I only need a light jacket. So I packed quite sparingly, and then we get here and it was freezing and grey and dark and raining. And it's now springtime, and we had a good wee burst of weather there a few weeks ago, and now it's just been raining again and so windy as well. I mean, just look at what's going on outside the now. I'll put a wee clip in, but it's grey and it's pissing down. So I'm really hoping that the Melbourne summer can pull out of the bag and make up for the winter. To be fair, it's not been that bad. Worse than expected, obviously, but still not as bad as the winter back home. And even when it was cold, you were still getting a blue sky with like no clouds and stuff like that, so that was quite good. And it's better because you can get running and it's still nice. Just a wee bit cold, but can deal with that. Number 2 is people are a wee bit more reserved here, I would say. I don't know if that's just because it's a bigger city with a lot more people have moved to it from different places. But back home, where we stayed anyway, if you were walking up the street or you ran past somebody and you could say hi or give them a smile and you would always get one back. Whereas here, I would say people hardly ever look in your direction or lift their head up, which is fine, of course. You don't need to say hi to everybody you walk past or whatever, but you definitely notice it. I feel like it's always nice if you just smile at somebody or say hi. I mean, that could brighten up their day. 3 ties into sort of what I'm talking about, but everybody here is a lot more conscious of their health, which I find great. Like back home, you'll maybe just see younger people and middle-aged people running, but here it seems to be a broad spectrum from young kids all the way up to people that are in their maybe later years of life and they're making a real effort. The food seems to be a lot healthier as well. Like there's a lot more organic shops, and they even have like organic sections in the supermarket and stuff like that, and they have like a health rating on the packaging of most things, which I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, but still a good guidance for people. And I feel like maybe there's more investment in the facilities of keeping top of your health as well. There's a lot more public pools. I mean, back home they're so separated in the towns and they don't get proper funding for the councils. Whereas here, there's a lot more football pitches, rugby pitches, tennis courts, swimming pools, gym facilities, basketball courts, like gym equipment, like public gym equipment and stuff like that. You can tell they obviously invest a lot in that stuff so that people are making a more conscious effort to take care of their health, which is brilliant. I run down a wee park called Princess Park on Sunday there. When you run round it, you see there's loads of football teams and stuff out playing in the park because it's massive, and even like the tennis courts and the wee basketball courts, like you're free to just go on them sometimes. Whereas back home, everything was padlocked up. And I think that sort of has it sort of goes both ways, because if you're constantly locking stuff up, then that just drives the kids to think, oh, there's nothing for us, so then we'll need to sort of break into it and play in there, sort of thing. Whereas if you educate kids on how to be more respectful of public property and take an interest in their health, then that's obviously going to have a positive impact. But I would say, sadly, that's not the case back home. Like, there's a serious lack of investment in the overall health. And that's a mindset thing as well, like even for the parents. Like, if they've grew up not being educated on that either, you can't really expect them to pass that on to their kids. And I think social media is good in that sense, because our generation definitely take a lot more interest in their health and well-being. So that's like a positive for social media. Number 4. The coffee just hits different here. It does. I don't want to be turned into one of those snobs that say that Melbourne's got the best coffee in the world. I mean, I've not been all over the world, so I don't know that for a fact, but it's definitely got the best tasting coffee I've ever tried. And we've been to Sydney, we've been to Queensland, and just doesn't seem to be much of it's not as big as a culture up then there's those places, and especially back home, like there is good coffee places in Glasgow, and surrounding towns are starting to sort of get some good places, which is good. But here they've been on top of it for so long. And the flat white was actually invented here as well, so I didn't know that one before I came here. I think because the standard is so high here, that everybody's always trying to make it so good. And the cafes we've got around about us as well, they're all brilliant. I couldn't fault any of them. So yeah, get to Melbourne, get the coffee. You won't be able to go back. We're going back to Scotland in a few weeks. And I already know the coffee shops I'm going to go to anyway, because we went to ones before. I'm interested to see if there is a noticeable difference, or if it is just a placebo effect. We'll find out soon. Number 5 is, I've learned that you're still going to have good days and bad days, no matter where you're in the world. Like, I'm quite fortunate enough to say that my bad days are far and few between. But when it is a bad day, it feels like the worst day ever. And like, location will have maybe a slight impact on that, but it doesn't matter if you're moving to try and get away from having bad days wherever you're I don't think that's going to be the fix in my experience. Like, you can only fix that by doing internal work. Like, you realise that nothing on the external can change your internal. It's only when you start paying attention to your feelings and your emotions and you learn to just be, that's when you notice that things start to change. Like yesterday I had a really bad day, for example, and then you get in your head about stuff, and I'm thinking, I know what stuff I don't want to do in life, but at the same time, it feels like a wee bit lost and I don't know what it is I do want to do. When you would think by knowing what you don't want to do, you would automatically know what you do want to do. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like the case, and yesterday was one of those days, and it just sort of feels like you're in limbo and you don't know how to get to where you want to be. And in my head I'm trying to figure all that out, like, am I going to do this, and I'm going to want to get to that stage, and you need to bring yourself back out of that thinking, because you can't control all that stuff right now. Like, you can only make an effort to do what you're doing in the present moment, and that's it. And if you're sitting there for hours, like yesterday I was most of the day like worrying about the future and how am I going to achieve this, and I don't feel like I know what direction I want to be going in. And then that's when you need to sort of catch yourself thinking that stuff, and then you can meditate and you can practice just being again in the present moment, and you'll realise that is the only moment that comes. So like, your main goal is to just focus on that moment and try and stay out of your head as much as possible. And I know it is hard, sometimes it is, but you just need to trust that everything is going to work out the way you want to work out. If you're doing everything you can in the present moment and not stuck worrying about the past or regretting stuff, or I should have been here by now, and you're no worrying about the future thinking, how am I going to work this out, like, what if this doesn't happen, like, those two states are not productive, and the only time you can be productive is in the present. So we just need to remind ourselves of that. So yeah, that's all I can think of right now, to be honest. Just want to get back in the groove of speaking to the camera. That's 5 easy things I've learned so far. Take care, everybody, and peace.